Hello and welcome to NewsX Deepdive. My name is Vineet Malhotra. Tonight we are talking about a fuel that almost every petrol vehicle owner in India is likely to encounter sooner than later, E20 Petrol. Over the last few weeks, the government's ethanol blending program has become the subject of intense debate. Social media has been flooded with claims that E20 petrol can damage engines, reduce mileage drastically, increase maintenance costs, consume excessive water during production and even threaten India's food security. The debate became so widespread that the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas has now stepped in with a detailed 10-point clarification attempting to separate facts from misinformation. So tonight we ask, what is E20 petrol? Why is India promoting it? What are the concerns and what exactly has the government clarified? Well, let's begin with the basics. E20 simply means petrol blended with 20% ethanol and 80% conventional petrol, fossil fuel. Ethanol is a biofuel produced from agricultural feedstock such as sugarcane, maize and surplus food grains. India began its ethanol blending program with lower blending levels before gradually increasing the target. The country achieved the 20% blending target ahead of schedule, making it one of the fastest large-scale ethanol adoption programs in the world. The government's objectives are fourfold: reduce dependence on imported crude oil, cut carbon emissions from the transport sector, improve energy security, provide an additional source of income for farmers through ethanol production. However, as E20 became more widely available, questions began to emerge. The government said that several claims circulating online are either misleading or completely false. Let's decode the major points. Firstly, does E20 damage vehicle engines? The ministry said no scientific evidence supports the claim that E20 fuel causes widespread engine damage when used in compatible vehicles. According to the government, E20 has undergone extensive testing by automotive manufacturers and regulatory agencies before rollout. Secondly, is E20 unsafe for existing vehicles? The clarification states that most modern petrol vehicles can use E20, while manufacturers have also introduced E20 compatible models over the past few years. For older vehicles, owners are advised to follow the guidance issued by their respective manufacturers. The government says that the transition has been planned in consultation with the automobile industry. Thirdly, what about mileage? This is one point where the government does acknowledge a difference. Since ethanol has lower energy content than petrol, fuel efficiency can reduce marginally. The ministry said that the expected reduction is generally between 2 and 6%, depending on the vehicle and driving conditions, not the dramatic decline being claimed on social media. Then, will using E20 void your vehicle warranty? The answer, according to the government, is no. Warranty conditions continue to depend on the vehicle manufacturer's specifications. Simply filling E20 fuel at an authorized fuel station does not automatically cancel warranty coverage. Point number 5, does ethanol production waste enormous quantities of water? One viral claim suggested that producing ethanol consumes nearly 10,000 liters of water per liter of fuel. The government has rejected this figure, saying modern ethanol production has become significantly more water efficient and that production methods continue to improve. Significantly, another major concern has been whether food grains are being diverted from people to fuel. The government's clarification says ethanol production uses surplus agricultural produce after food security requirements are met. It also points out that sugarcane-based ethanol remains a major contributor to blending. Many also raised concerns about whether E20 is worse for the environment, but the ministry said exactly the opposite. Its position is that ethanol blending reduces greenhouse gas emissions, lowers dependence on fossil fuels and contributes to India's climate commitments. The government also clarified that E20 is not an experimental fuel. Several countries, including Brazil and the United States, have used ethanol-blended fuels for years, while India has conducted phased testing before expanding the program nationally. Then comes another concern. Is E20 only about environmental benefits? The answer is no. Officials say ethanol blending also has significant economic benefits. Every increase in blending reduces India's crude oil imports, helping save foreign exchange while supporting domestic agriculture and the biofuel industry. Finally, should consumers be worried? Well, the government's overall message is straightforward. It says E20 has been introduced after technical evaluation, industry consultation, and phased implementation, and motorists should rely on manufacturer recommendations rather than unverified claims circulating online. And so the E20 debate is about far more than just what goes into the fuel tank. India imports nearly 85% of its crude oil requirement, making the country highly vulnerable to fluctuations in global oil prices and geopolitical disruptions. Biofuels like ethanol are therefore seen as an important part of India's long-term energy strategy. At the same time, public confidence remains equally important. Consumers want clarity about vehicle compatibility, long-term maintenance, costs, and real-world mileage. So where does that leave us? The government says that the science supports E20. It says the fears surrounding engine damage, food shortages, excessive water use, and warranty loss are either exaggerated or misleading. Critics, however, continue to demand greater transparency and clearer communication for consumers. One thing is certain, as E20 becomes the new normal across India, the conversation is no longer just about ethanol. It's about balancing energy security, environmental sustainability, farmer welfare, and consumer confidence, all at the same time. Mr. Tutu Dhawan, automobile expert, joins us on the program to talk more about this. Mr. Dhawan, what is your take on this? We have given consumers being very, very worried about this blending. What's your take, sir?
Vineet, I think you have already explained the norms and the pluses and the minuses of E20 petrol very, very vividly. My take on this is that this has been handled a little wrong. That's the only thing which has gone wrong. If the government had handled this properly before the launch of this petrol and given all the stakeholders the minuses and the pluses on the table so that there is no ambiguity at all for the consumer or for the manufacturers. If that had been done properly, we wouldn't have been in this stage at the moment. Because today, anybody and everybody thinks he is an expert, and he is an expert on YouTube and on the social network. And for whatever reason, he wants to make a point, and he wants some browning points for himself. So that is the main issue. As far as the petrol is concerned, E20 petrol, our cars coming out after 2023 are all 100% compatible, and there is no minus on the performance of the car other than, as the government also has agreed, 2 to 6% in fuel average. Now that fuel average is also questionable. See, all these tests are done under ideal conditions on the track of ARAI and NATRIP in Indore. And those conditions cannot be recreated, on our modern roads, and especially in the metros. So if anybody is cribbing about 2% or 6% or 10% of fuel shortage in mileage, I think he is just trying to fuss about it and nothing else. Because you cannot create those conditions that are on the track. You are not using an air conditioner. You are not going beyond 80 kilometers an hour. You've got all your glasses rolled up. You don't have an air conditioner on. You don't have lights on. And you are just cruising at one fixed speed, round and round and round, and to be able to get the exact fuel average. And they have very highly sophisticated testing equipment by which they are able to get you the last drop of fuel that has been consumed for a kilometer. But for a common man, it's very, very simple. I mean, whatever you are doing in your car, you keep doing that, but at the time of tank up right till the neck, till you can touch the fuel in the fuel tank, in the cap itself, and note down the mileage. And after driving your car for 100, 200 kilometers, do the same process again. And whatever the fuel has gone into the tank, divided by the miles that you have, kilometers you have covered, and there you are. Now, the point what I am trying to explain is that those conditions cannot be created, ideal conditions. Our traffic conditions are so bad. Our air conditioning is taking all the juice, and traffic lights, stop go traffic, changing gears, first, second, third, not even touching fourth or fifth. So these are the things that will, upset you when you start calculating the mileage that you can get. So, I mean, if you are really in one of those hardcore testing maniacs, then maybe it's a good thing that you do a few times of this testing, and you will be able to satisfy yourself.
All right, sir. Valid point there. So appreciate your thoughts and perspective on this, and thanks for clarifying. We'll take a short break now. Be right back.
अरे ऋषि